Welcome, my name is Christopher Armstrong. If you haven't been in my channel, welcome. My channel is for the misfits, the people that were never meant to fit into this society, the ones that feel too much, that don't fit in, the ones that are labeled as disordered, weird, bizarre, strange. And I'm here to bring you messages that are going to support you on this journey. I bring through channeled messages through a combination of intuitive channeling as well as spirit channeling, higher self channeling. And so I feel that there's a message to come through today, so I'm just going to tap in. This is related to an experience. From what I'm seeing, the seed for this conversation is related to an experience with a client that I had yesterday, discussing the concept of heaven and hell, the concept of God as being a loving or a punishing being. And so let's see what comes through. Centering, rooting and grounding, surrounding myself with a protective circle of golden light. Only messages for the highest path, the highest potential of this collective. This is for the solar ones, the solar beings, the one who came here. They came here knowing that they would be plunged into darkness like a seed cast into the earth, cast into the soil. The ones cast so deep into the darkness of their own genetic lineage, their own ancestral heritage. The ones who would be plunged into the muck, into the fertilizer, knowing that at some day, some point, they would reach out, rise up towards the sun, because that is what they come from. That is how they were created. They are beings of the sun. This is for those who know this truth deep down inside of them. The ones that no matter what seems to happen, no matter how difficult things seem to get, they still reach towards the light. They reach towards that bright, brilliant, shining sun in the sky. There is deep core manipulation that exists within every aspect of your mental and emotional programming. Your genetic structure has been changed, manipulated, not even to discuss those that have received the genetic manipulation that has been served to us, that has been sold to us. There exists so many forms of manipulation in this aspect, this three-dimensional realm at this moment. And so it is now more important than ever to undo, to unravel the knots, the twists, and the tangles within your genetic structure. And do not concern yourself that there is irreparable damage, because you can always connect into the source. You can always return to the light. Even the complex weavings of your fractal genetic structure, even the physical manifestations, the flesh, the bone, can all be made new in the image of God, in the image of Creator, in the image, because all is light, all comes from the light, all is the energy of the source. And part of this manipulation is the idea that you are bound, that you are given only two decisions. One, which is to follow the rules, to follow the guidance, to follow the protocols that have been given to you through what appear to be sacred texts. However, they are manipulated variations and versions of the sacred texts, or to choose to reject, to say no, to rebel, to revolt, and then go to hell, to be banished to some underworld, some horrible, dark place, a place that is filled with fire and pain and torture, because there you will be disconnected from your source, you will be disconnected from your God, and you will be punished, castigated, isolated. Now let's look at this from a different lens. We humans, it is natural for us to experience God, to experience everything through, let's call it, an anthropomorphic lens. The idea that we seem to try to make everything fit into the reality that we know, which is to be a two-armed, two-legged, one head being that experiences life through this nervous system, through this body, through the mythology, through the stories that we know, through the family structures that we know. And that is why we have a tendency to refer to God as a he, as a father. And even, of course, there is a revitalization of the mother, the divine feminine. And still we call her the mother. We have a father-mother, a mother-father God, the one from which we come, and we still tend to, we have really very little choice but to default to fitting God into our understanding of the world. And that is why we have an idea, an image of God, the creator, the everything, all that is, which we are a drop of this ocean. We are not separate from, we are an expression of, we are God, we are the creator. And yet we still have a tendency to see the God as a father figure who rules from high, who says yes and no, this is right and this is wrong, the one that punishes, the one that castigates and isolates, the one that disconnects in order to punish. But this is the strategy of a parent who has little tools and resources and teachings, and therefore says that in order to punish or sometimes even to protect my child, I will take them and I will lock them into a room. And this, combined with the dogmatic approach of teaching that there are certain rules to follow, and if you do not follow them, if you are not a good boy or girl, we will put you in your room or in hell. Here's the truth. We understand the concept of as above, so below, as within, so without. If you're not familiar, that's fine. Very simple is what is true inside of you is true outside of you. They are mirrors of each other. The changes that occur within are affected without, and vice versa. Everything is a projection of what we carry within. Whatever is existing and the structure that exists on the lower level is also existing in the higher level. And this is to say that when Jesus said in the Bible, in the sacred text, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Well, the kingdom of heaven is within you, then also it must be true that hell must also exist within you. Because as Jesus said in these words, very simply stated, very simply put, and yet not understand, glossed over, ignored, disregarded, because that truth will set you free, that heaven is within you, the state of peace and bliss, everything that you desire, your connection to God, all of the fruits and the riches that heaven will give you exists within your being, not separate from your being, not a place that you go if you have played the game, passed the rules, and passed the test. No. This is something that exists within you always, and that kingdom, heaven, bliss state can be accessed now. Reference the previous message that was delivered that discussed how in these great times of change, there must be a default state of presence. Be here now. Be here now. How funny, because I dreamed that last night. There was a choice to watch two movies. One was like this burly, masculine Western mountain movie, and the other one was this movie that was more emotional and more whimsical, and it was titled Be Here Now. I defaulted to the masculine mountain man movie, and then eventually I went to change it, and I signed up for the whimsical, funny, and yet truthful movie that says Be Here Now, not project some sort of alter identity. But to return to the message, that inner state of bliss is accessible here now, that heaven state is accessible here now, and so is the hell state. And most of you are living by default in the state of hell, the inner torment, the mind when it latches on for the sake of protecting oneself, for the sake of protecting this body, and says, we need to focus on the negative, we need to focus on what doesn't work, we need to focus on the fears. And then the fears compound, the spiral goes downward. We descend into hell because that negative thinking, that fear state thinking, that lower vibrational thinking gets stronger and stronger, like a runaway train with so many cargo cars behind it that the momentum is so strong that the power, the force required to stop it is almost too much for us to do, certainly for most of us, too much to do alone. And that is why we seek out support. That is why we seek out coaching and guidance and those that will bring us back onto the path, those that can help us to see that we need to stop this internal hellscape. Hell is not some place that exists outside of you. It exists here and now, and it is your choice to live in heaven or hell. Every moment it is your choice. And by default, by the way that you have been taught, by the systems that have been put in place to support you and to accelerate even that negative hellscape thinking. You are living in hell now. Your fear even that you would go to hell, that when you die, when you separate from your body and you return as energy to the allness, the wholeness, the all that is, when you release this illusion of separation, you go back to everything altogether. The idea that you would somehow get captured or taken and thrown into a pit of despair is so false. There's so much of this negative orientation, this fear thoughts style thinking, that it has become a structure for control. You look at the devil card in the tarot. There is a chain, and the chain goes around the necks of the lovers, the two, the man and the feminine, the masculine and the feminine, the man and the woman, the anima and the animus. But there's really no lock. There's no device that captures them into this chain. It seems that it is drawn as if in the rider waite that they could almost easily take the chain off of their neck, and yet they don't, because their lower state, the fear, the cravings, the desires, the desire to numb, the desire to disconnect, the fear that if I break the rules, then I will go to hell, which keeps me actually in the hell right now, is so present that they stay locked, even though their path to freedom is their own free will and choice. God will never force you to think a certain way. The Creator, the all that is, will provide you pain, suffering, provide you opportunities, tower moments, discomfort moments, in order to give you the signal and to say, hey, I'm noticing that there's something a little off about the thinking that you're choosing. Would you care to choose something different? At any moment, this option is available, and you have to choose it. We get to choose it. We have the free will to choose it. And now, habits are powerful. The momentum of the train is intense. The behavioral imprints of years and years of conditioning, habit, and ancestral conditioning, pain and trauma handed down the generational lineage, of which many generations can be felt and experienced through your behavior, but they exist as gravity, difficult to identify, difficult to see and touch and feel, yet their effects can be measured in our behaviors. And so, my dear sweet child, heaven and hell do not exist out there as a place that you may be going to after you die. They exist now, here, in the choices that you make. How am I thinking? What lens am I going to use to observe the effects of, or the existence of my reality? How am I going to perceive everything that is happening in my now present moment? So remember, come back to this now moment. If you find difficulty in doing that, breathe. The breath lies upon that beautiful space where it is both conscious and unconscious. It exists unconsciously. Your unconscious mind keeps you breathing so that you may move forward, so that you will always have access to spirit. As long as that breath is in your body, you are connected to your spirit. You are linked in, and your body is fueled and fed with infinite creator energy. You have the freedom to access more of that present energy, to access more of that spirit, to fill your body with more of that energy. And you have freedom to choose to access more of that energy, to use that conscious breathing state to focus on bringing your mind into this now moment, to bring your mental space into the breath, to use your mind to breathe, to then anchor your mind to the breath. It is simple, it is powerful. Look at most ancient traditions, and there is, if not the default teaching, some teaching that is an understanding that the breath can be the anchor to which we tie the mind that can so easily get lost, that defaults to negative, because we came here to thrive, but we also must survive. But we are leaving the time of surviving, and we are stepping into a moment of thriving. So focus on your breathing. And if you have the availability, do that now. Deep in through the nose. Slow exhale through the mouth with a ha. Again. This is your tool, available at any time. No doctor can charge you for it. No company can withhold it from you and sell it back to you. This is your power. Your thinking, no one can think for you. They can try to influence and manipulate and direct or guide your thinking, and you always have control. For those of you that have a mind that is far faster, more powerful than perhaps the norm, what you might call ADHD, autism, whatever it might be, tap into what this one is doing right now, which is to use a higher frequency, 40 hertz binaural beats, in order to give you sustained, active silence. There are many tools that are available to you. Even this device, this phone, these headphones, they can be used in a way that harms you or in a way that supports your growth, that supports your health, your nervous system, your body. Remember, hell is not someplace. It is within you if you choose to be in that hell state. Heaven also exists within you if you choose to pursue that heaven state within you. There are many tools, many paths, many religions, many teachings, many spiritual traditions. Seek those that resonate with you. Seek those that feel good. And do not judge yourself for preferring one over the other. You don't even have to choose the path of your ancestry. And there might be some wisdom in it for you. So in this time of great change, anchor yourself into the breath, anchor yourself into the thought and the knowing that heaven is here now. Be here now. Until next time, remember there are no mistakes. There is only magic.